October 21st, 2015, or is it 3 years later, October 21st, 2018? October 21st, 2018 is the next date as far as the watch list for the end of the world. Will the world end on October 21st, 2018, or will it just be another day? Well, as I'm back live streaming for the first time in 3 months, I decided that it's time to gear my YouTube channel in a few other directions besides just talking about the end of the world, because I definitely see that's not really getting me anywhere, unfortunately. But that's not a bad thing necessarily. It's just that it's not getting me anywhere that I'd like to be. Um, So, shalom to you, Marvin Flores. Thank you for watching. And realize this is like the first time in a long, long time um, that I've been live streaming. And the reason is just simply because YouTube put a strike on my channel and it drove me crazy because I wanted to live stream. That's what I've been doing and got my channel to where it's at. And then they just took it away from me, all on behalf of one of my videos because I talked about a school shooting. And apparently, the way I went about talking about the school shooting seemed to transgress the policies of YouTube, which, of course, I meant nothing of the sort. But that's regardless of, YouTube. YouTube will send people, off to the YouTube naughty list, and that's kind of where I was for the last few months. Anyways, as I'm looking at my notes, putting that on the screen, I'm going to be talking about El Yonim, and I'm also going to be talking about reconciling some seemingly unreconcilable facts and religious beliefs. And that's the route I'm planning to take on this YouTube channel because talking about the end of the world is very interesting, very intriguing to some people. And at the same time, there's only so much we could talk about the end of the world. And it can be a trail that leads to a dead end. It's just, yep, that's the end, and then what of it? So as far as a deeper level, I think that because of the certain audience which I have is on the line of conspiracy theories, talking about Queen Elizabeth being fake or not being real. Yeah, hey Bowman, blah blah blah. Yeah, saying that when people date set you lose your credibility. Well, I really seriously hope that my 2,000 plus subscribers understand that I've never date set in my entire career on YouTube. I know that might sound funny to some of you guys watching me right now. Because some of my skits, it definitely seems like, oh no, you're setting a date for the end of the world. But if you take everything in context, I'm sure that like 90% of my audience realizes the difference between me joking and actually talking about theology, because I have talked about some actual theological points as far as Daniel's prophecy in Daniel 9:23 and the 9:23 connections, as far as different conspiracy theories with Disney's Tomorrowland, and how there's a 9:23 or like bunches of 9:23s in Tomorrowland, 9:23 just about all over the place. And the 9:23 is going to be something I'm going to keep talking about because of how it actually does affect my life and probably everybody else's lives. I'm getting my phone up here because I want to show you. So there's this, I'm not going to show you the full license plate. I don't want anybody to get me in trouble. But if you see on the screen, this was just coming home from work today. The car in front of me after I pulled out happened to have the last digits as 5923. After I saw that, I was a little bit startled. I mean, I keep seeing 923 all the time, and so it's nothing too concerning. Yeah, I understand that you know that I'm joking, but at the same time, you're right. People that legitimately say that Jesus is coming back with the end of the world, the rapture, some of those people, I think, are a few fries short of a Happy Meal. They really don't got everything together. But back to what I was saying. So the 923 is definitely important because I saw, again, just coming home from work, the car in front of me said 923. And then I'm heading down the highway, Highway 41 here in Evansville, going back toward the town. And I go to the slow lane. As I'm in the slow lane, I'm just focused on driving down the slow lane. But the cars in the fast lane are going slower than me. So I'm going in the slow lane. And my eyes just scan a red car. And the license plate is AUX 923. And I'm in the slow lane, so I kind of slow down to see if they'll pass me up again. But that slow lane just keeps going slower. And I'm like, what's going on? The speed limit's 45 and I'm going like 42. But some reason the fast lane kept going slower and slower and slower. And I'm like, what's going on? So I kept about 42. And I'm like, what happened to this red car that said AUX 923? And I just kind of like stay, then it switches to 2 lanes to 3 lanes going back toward Evansville. And I stay in the middle lane, seeing if they're going to come the one side or the other side or behind me. And this red car just disappears. I don't see it turn off. It doesn't go left or right. The 923 car disappears. So, that's kind of interesting. I'll chime in the chat. Okay, God never told us when the end of the world we trust God. He's coming patiently. Let me tell you, as a matter of fact, I do not believe that is a correct statement. No offense. But I do believe, as far as the end of the world, that we will be able to see the details concerning the end of the world if we watch and pay attention. As of today, some of those prophecies that need to come to pass have not come to pass. Therefore, because they have not come to pass, that is what leads me to say, hold off on all this end of the world stuff. The world is not ending right away. We probably got another at least 8 or 9 years, or maybe 10 or 15. We'll wait and see how things go. But as of right now, the fall feast of Yehovah have completed. Sukkot is over, and it leads me to conclude, as far as right now, that the 7 years of Daniel has not begun, which would postpone it at least till 2019 as starting the Daniel's prophecy. And even right now, it's looking like 2019. The dates just don't seem to go together. Not until about 2023 to 2030 would there actually be the right spaces between the dates of Yom Kippur and the last great day of the Feast of Tabernacles in 2030 to actually be 1,290 days and 1,290 days. So, good news for you guys. Hopefully good news that the world is probably not going to be over for another 12 years or longer. We'll just have to wait and see, okay? I'm not saying for 100% certainty. I'm just saying that the hypothetical scenario of a date setting that could be set seems to be postponed now from 2018 to 25. Now the next likely scenario would be 2023 to 2030. And I have this in my journal back here. This is my journal from 2015, October 21st, 2015. I was doing a lot of hypothetical scenarios about the end of the world. And I was showing which 7 years could actually be where there's 1,290 days plus 1,290 days. 2031 to 2038, as you can see here. I wrote this out that could actually be a legitimate 1,290 days plus 1,290 days. You can see on the other hand, I did have 2030 to 2037, but that did not work. It was not 1,290 days and 1,290 days. 2015 to 2022 did work, but we've already passed that date, and so that's not a possibility anymore. 2037 to 2044 is also a possible scenario for the 1,290 days and 1,290 days scenario of Daniel. And we also have 2026 on the screen. 2026 to 2033 could also work for 1,290 days plus 1,290 days, fulfilling Daniel's prophecy. We have 2023 to 2030. That is valid. It could work for 1,290 days plus 1,290 days to fit the prophecy. And that is basically it over the next 20 years. So let me go through those dates again. So as far as the end of the world 7 years of Daniel, since this year is already passed, we can verify that the 7 years have not started this year. The next legitimate possibility would be 2023 to 30 as number one. Number two is 26 to 33. Number two would be 31 to 38. and number 4 would be 2037 to 2044. In the next 20 years, those are the top four possibilities that I've calculated. And again, these are technically old calculations. I calculated all this about October 21st, 2015, the Back to the Future day. That's what I was spending my time doing, researching the end of the world and the possibility of the 7 years of Daniel. So, the good news to all of you guys watching me right now is that we possibly have 15 to 20 years until the end of the world. Did you happen to meet Nathan Reynolds? He's an awesome dude. That name rings a bell. I don't know where I know that name from. I'm not sure. I definitely think, okay, you'll have to explain that more in the comment section. So, what I was saying at the beginning of my film, and I'm going back towards it now, we're going to be talking about Elyonim, and those that can't read Hebrew, Elyonim, Elyon, or Elf is the actual equivalent in some Norse mythology and some other things. I believe that it's time to change the events of my channel for talking about the end of the world to go into a further discussion to reconcile seemingly unreconcilable theological differences. And that's where I was doing a live stream. It ended up getting privatized. I'm going to redo that live stream shortly. I'm catching up on a lot of things that I've neglected to do. So that's why my thoughts might seem to be a little out of order. So as far as the end of the world, I've completely I've just accomplished my my detailed, sophisticated prophecy that I worked on back in 2015 that we probably have a few more years. It does not look like the 7 years of Daniel starting this year, which gives us quite a bit more. But back on track of this YouTube channel, what my plan is to continue on the conspiracy theory route, but instead of talking about just the end of the world, I want to broaden my spectrum and include reptilians, elves, dwarves, the Illuminati, talk about higher powers, talk about reality, talking about the simulated reality versus smooth space-time, and if this is the base reality, talking about God, the one true God versus the Greek gods, and how that can be reconciled. We're going to mention the Epic of Gilgamesh. We're going to talk about Enki, and also how Enki was a Mesopotamian god in a long time ago, back in like 21 BCE, and how Enki also it was called Eye, and Enki / Eye seems to relate to the Hebrew God in very specific detail, even relating in the Epic of Gilgamesh, how Enki was the god that saved Noah from the flood and instructed him to build the boat. But the difference is that Enki was not the god that that caused the flood. He was actually saving Noah, or it has a different name in the Epic of Gilgamesh, but it's Noah. And there's a different god that was actually behind causing the flood. And this different god would more or less be described as Zeus in the Greek mythology, where the god of Enki definitely relates to Poseidon. And so there's a huge similarity between the Greek god Poseidon and also Enki, which similarly refers not only to Mesopotamian and Sumerian, not Sumerian, from I think from Sumer, not just those gods, but it also is very similar to the God of the Bible. And we're going to do a detailed study, is what this channel is going to definitely try to succeed in doing. We're going to do a detailed study about, is Enki of the Mesopotamian god cosmology and the pantheon and all that, is Enki also the Hebrew god? If he is, what would that mean in reinterpreting the Bible or helping understand the Bible? If he isn't, why would there be such a huge similarity? And this is my point. And I'm going to get to this all in better detail in the future. If you're watching me now and you're just seeing me like, you have no frame of reference, trust me, I'm going to explain all this. I'm going to get PowerPoints and all this. But right now, it's been 3 months and my mouth has been basically kept shut because of not being able to live stream on this channel, having other channels that really didn't get too many views. So I really had a crazy time. If you could see, some of my videos were live streamed on my secondary channel. I got about 95 to 100 videos, not videos, sorry, video views on my secondary channel. On my primary channel, then it got like 5 to 7 to 800 views as a repost, which is actually quite well as far as my channel goes. It's very good. But as far as the live streaming and reposting, that was a little bit of a convoluted, humble jumble, nonsensical, contraption that I had to come up with just because YouTube was screwed with me, so I decided to screw with them. So back to the growth of my channel. I definitely want to do this because I think it's very important that a lot of people realize what exactly is going on, both with the flat Earth debate and also with the Messianic Judaism debate versus Christianity versus going off the deep end into pagan religions or satanic rituals, either being totally agnostic or being totally 100% right on, like, I am for the devil, or 100% I'm for Yehovah, or kind of standoffish agnostic. There's just a whole bunch of views out there, and I want to assimilate some of the viewpoints together and show how it all does actually relate one way or another to itself, and also the seemingly contradictory things, which may in fact be contradictions and may in fact just be different perspectives. For instance, how I'm saying that the Greek Poseidon very well suits the Enki or Eye of the Mesopotamian gods. And then in the Bible, Abraham, he is in fact a servant of what is called Yehovah. Yehovah is the Elohim. And later on, it's passed down the same God all the way until it talks in Moshe. It tells in the Exodus, or the book of Devarim, that he actually is not only called by the name of Yehovah or Elohim, but he says, this is Moses asking the God of the Bible, he says, what is your name? If the Pharaoh of Egypt says, who is this? What is his name? What should I tell them? And this is his response. He says, Eheyeh Asher Eheyeh. Or the hey sometimes is silent if you pronounce it in a form of Hebrew, one form or another, either Eheyeh or just Eyeh. So he says, Eyeh Asher Eyeh. And Eye was actually the god of the Mesopotamian region, one of the gods, and the one that was the one credited to saving Noah and his family on the boat, and also the creation of mankind. So it definitely seems to relate from the creation to the flood, and then what is his name? It says his name is Eheyeh. And then at the same time, this name Enki in the Mesopotamian region definitely is interesting when seeing that Almighty God, every time he talks about himself, he always says in Hebrew, then, he says, Anohi Yehovah Elohecha. I am Yehovah, your God. And when he says, I am, he says it in Hebrew, Anohi. And Anohi definitely refers to Enki. Enki Anohi. Enki Anohi. It definitely seems to be the same thing. So that is some of the things we're going to be discussing on this channel, and how seemingly unreconcilable things can be reconciled. We're going to talk about reptilians and talk about how there's definitely a huge conspiracy that people are saying, oh, there's like reptilians walking around. shape shifting. And right off the top, it just sounds like a bunch of hooey. It sounds ludicrous. It sounds like insanity. But if you really take a deeper look, you can see that it's not quite as crazy. Depending on your perspective and how you're seeing it, but there's stuff in the Bible. It calls Satan the serpent, the talking serpent in the Garden of Eden, and it also goes on and on, calling the devil a snake or a serpent or a dragon. Other religions and in regions of the world that have these theories, the religious beliefs that there is a god or a reptilian god that came down and even mated with human beings. This is not just a one religion for a minute minority people group, but it relates to the whole entire world. There is the Egyptian gods are portrayed as reptilians, and not just like Egyptian gods. It actually goes quite beyond that to many different parts of the world. So we're going to look in a deeper, look a lot deeper as far as reptilians go, and how these reptilians that are talked about on YouTube with conspiracy theories and all that, there's more to it than just a bunch of stupid people that are easily gullible, easily convinced to believe something that's totally ridiculous. It's not just a bunch of gullible people going around saying, "Oh, I think there's a reptilian over there." That there actually is biblical history that talks about a reptilian-like creature. There's also definitely other religions and other beliefs, other traditions that show that there is a type of reptilian in the gods and supernatural powers of this world. Now, again, I'm not trying to say that they are reptilians. We're going to do a detailed study as far as what is a reptilian, what is a nonsensical reptilian, and what would be a legitimate reptilian. We're also going to talk about the Norse mythology, and we're going to talk about the elves. And just recently, I was doing a study seeing that the elves in Norse mythology do not relate to the gods. They're definitely distinct characters and distinct. They're distinct creations of this world. The elves compared to the gods. And when I did this interesting study comparing it to the Hebrew cosmology and the structure of the different beings, the Elyonim are Hebrew deities, or not deities, they're Hebrew entities. They're called Elyonim, and the Elyonim just means the higher up ones, but they're a separate entity than the gods and a separate entity than the seraphim, or the demons, the angels, the malachim. There's all these different entities, and the Elyonim are a separate entity, being the higher up ones. And Elyonim definitely seem to be similar to elves. And I have it written here, Elyonim in Hebrew, and you can see Elyonim in Hebrew. Elyon is spelled with the Vav, Elyon. And the Vav can also be pronounced as an O if you say Elyon, Elyon. But in English, and also other languages, when that O in Elyon gets translated to another language, you go from Elyon to Elav, or Elv. And the Elv could be Elu. Elu could also go to Elu or Illuminati, or it could be the elite. But the elite are not just gods, but they're also another being, the elite, or the elv, or the Elyon. And when you talk about Elyon, it means on high. What are the elite? Elite is the ones on high. So is the Elyonim. So it's a very interesting topic. It's something that I'd like to get into further detail. For now, I'm just throwing it out there on the table as far as what I plan to discuss in the future. So, let me go to a different live stream. If you're watching me now, thank you very much. And I will be starting a new live stream in a few seconds or minutes. But that is my detailed analysis of my channel, as far as where I've come from having small channel with a couple subscribers, a couple people watching me, growing to 500,000 views. I've gotten over $600 cash from the ad revenue, which is quite a feat. I mean, it doesn't make me rich or anything. I made a lot more than $600 in the past year at my job that, you know, I work at 41 to 65 hours a week. So it's by no means is YouTube my job. I'm not getting rich off of YouTube, but it is a platform, and I do out there in a lot of ways. And I'd like to keep myself out there, and I'd like to make sure I keep this channel up and running, just to get myself out, because I know a lot of people enjoy watching me. Either that, or they painstakingly watched me for 2 million minutes in the last 2 years, and just for no reason at all, and they just didn't even like it. They're just like, "Ooh, what the heck am I watching? I don't even like this guy, but I just go watch it anyways." If that's the case, I'm gonna go for it, and I'm going to keep posting my videos that are painstaking to everybody that watches it, or they might be quite interesting. I really don't know. I mean, that's for you guys to leave in the comments. I've had more likes and dislikes. I've had more good feedback than bad feedback. So I really do hope that you guys like my videos. I mean, why else would you watch me for 2 million minutes? At 2 million minutes, that's like 3 years of view time in the last 2 years. So every second of the last 2 years and some, you all have been watching my channel. That's why I stayed on YouTube. Because to be quite honest, if you guys didn't watch me nearly that much, I probably wouldn't be on YouTube, period. I probably have stopped YouTube a long time ago, because there's a lot of YouTube channels that only get a couple hundred views a month, or, you know, a view or two a day, or, you know, just a little bit here, a little bit there. And it's like, you know, nobody's actually like looking up to them like, "Oh, look, they have this YouTube channel and they got all this stuff going on." It's just like somebody scrolling through a bunch of nonsense, and they look at some YouTube channel, they're like, "Oh, that's weird." I'll watch like 5 seconds and then skip to the next video. It doesn't even count as a view. So I'm saying that people are watching my videos, and I do appreciate that. And I mean, right now I got 4 viewers right now. So thank you. If you have any questions, please comment it down below, because it's like a really interesting thing to not have YouTube and then have it back again. And so if you think I'm talking way too fast, and if you speak a foreign language, you can't understand what I'm saying, that's probably because I'm actually talking pretty fast. And even an American couldn't really understand what I'm saying, even if they tried. If they think about it long enough, they could definitely understand what I'm saying, because I'm not actually talking too fast. But here in the southernmost city in Indiana, nobody actually talks as fast as I'm talking right now, because if they talked this fast, they'd actually probably overwhelm people, and they'd probably faint because they couldn't even stand up or anything. And I actually can talk faster than most of my peers, but that's another story. So I'm not trying to brag or anything, and I know I'm not really talking that fast, but it's kind of funny actually, because on this YouTube channel, a lot of people are Americans. Like 65 to 70 or 80% of my viewers are Americans. And I'm pretty sure why that happens to be is because if you're not an American, you not only will not understand what I'm saying, but it'll just sound like gibberish. I mean, it won't even be a word here and a word there, but it won't even be a word anywhere, because I actually do talk pretty fast. So that's kind of, you know, beside the point, but it is true. That's why I got mostly Americans watching my channel. But apart from that, apart from, you know, me talking fast and having mostly Americans watching my channel and all that, I do have a lot to say as far as prophecy goes, and also the end times, and as far as not only end times, as far as what's the first video on my channel now. It says Queen Elizabeth is dead, end times conspiracy, is the Queen dead or isn't she? I've never really gone through that in full detail. That was just oh, you know, what if the Queen's dead? What would be the case? And in that little bit of, oh, what if the Queen's dead, it ended up blowing up and having 1 million minutes of watch time. It's got about 250,000, oh, not a quarter. It's gone up from 250,000 views to now it's gone about to 1/3 views, and it's growing. I don't know why, but for some reason it stopped at approximately 329,000 views. And it's been that way for a few weeks now. It's been like a couple views a day, but it was getting 1,000 to 5,000 views a day for a while. Says YouTube statistics and the analytics, but now it says that it's 329, and I think it's quite odd that it would happen to stop or slow down at those numbers, 329. 923, 329 definitely seems to indicate something as far as what I see. Okay, maybe I'm just looking into it too much. Maybe so, maybe not. I don't know. But I do think it's interesting that my top video would be 329, and then the second to that is not 329, but it's my video on 923. So that's just something out there, something that I can throw it because I think it's quite interesting. You know, it's like 923, 329. And you can see, I mean, I just told you guys at the beginning of this live stream that I just saw another license plate that was 923 on the way home to work. And not only did I see one vehicle that was 923, but I saw another vehicle that said AUX 923, a red sports car. And this red sports car suddenly just disappeared. I mean, not like before my eyes, but it's like it was right there. I passed in the slow lane, and the fast lane kept getting slower, and the car just, I kept looking back, and the car just turned off somewhere and disappeared. So that is my first live stream in a long time. Thank you guys for watching. Shalom. Yavarecha Yehovah v'yishmerecha Yehovah panav elecha v'huneka Yisai Yehovah panav elecha v'yasem lecha. Shalom. Shalom lechem. And I will be back in the future.